Hey everybody, Chris Copper, welcome back. Thanks for watching, and definitely thank you for all your support. All right, a lot of questions and quite a bit of comments, and some of those comments not so nice regarding my gameplay in 23 megabytes. And I decided to put this series of videos together where I explain my loadout, explain shields, the various options that you have available for equipment, and putting your gear on your guys, all of that. So we're going to discuss that over this next series of videos and tell you what's real, what's not real, and what's just gameplay. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. All right, so what I want to talk about in this video is my loadout and why I'm choosing the weapons and gear that I utilize for myself and for my operators. Some people had asked about shields, Optawan, various different things. So I figured I will focus on the actual loadout that I prefer. And once again, people in the military that play this game are going to have what they feel is appropriate. Other police officers are going to do something different. Remember, we do this based upon where we work and how we were trained. And not everybody is trained to the same standards. We have national standards, we have state standards, we have local standards, and that's just the way it is here in the United States when you are a police officer and you're on a tactical team. So, with that. Okay, I'm just going to jump into this stuff, and we're going to forego all the formalities of who I am and blah, blah, blah. You can watch other videos for that, but let's talk about my loadout in Ready or Not. All right. So let's first talk about our long rifle. Okay. When I first started on the team, the weapon of choice was the MP5. My particular MP5, and I'm just trying to remember, I had the suppressor on it, which was really, really nice, and it was a 9mm. Fully auto, and subsequently we traded those in for the Colt M4 10-inch barrel. And then somewhere along the line, our team leader decided that he wanted to take a look at the 6-hour MCX, and we went with it. I chose the MCX for here just because it's what I loved. I loved that weapon, and I decided to use the same weapon that I would used on the team. So I went with the SRS optic because mine had a suppressor. I went with the suppressor. This is the type of grip that I have on my rifle today. And then I went with the flashlight. And this is standard for just about everybody that was on the team. Now, most guys got rid of their suppressor. It would get very hot. I actually did a video where my suppressor was resting up against my pants and it caught on fire. So a lot of guys didn't like that, especially after a 30-round burst, because at the end of the range day, we just do 30-round bursts to see the control, keeping the control that tucked in there, and using whatever the different types of stance, weaver stance, and stuff like that. Now our sights were a little bit different. We used the Romeo and Juliet sights from Sig Sauer themselves, and one was a magnifying and the other one was a standard optic. That's obviously not here on this one. Sidearm, we also use the Legion 6-hour Legion, and ours was, now we were used to 45s, but we went with the 9mm. You did have different options. Some officers were allowed to go to the 40 and 45. I decided to go with the 9mm along with the rest of the team. But here I decided to go with a weapon that I'm very familiar with. After the Colt 1911, after when I first started with law enforcement, we had the Colt 1911 government model, and we traded those in for the HK USP 45. We had that weapon for 10 plus years. It was an awesome weapon. and I decided to go with that configuration in regards to this loadout. And I just went with the standard RMR Dot and a flashlight, obviously no muzzle. And now let's take a look at, so that's my weapon loadout. Now, let's talk about armor. You could go with obviously no armor, stab vest, don't recommend it, light armor, and heavy armor. The team was in the process of getting also light armor prior to me leaving. However, a lot of teams such as LA Sheriff's Department and LAPD have multiple types of vests. They have 3 vests, one being light armor and then heavy armor, and it's really mission dependent. Now, with the heavy armor we wore, I would love for the devs to be able to get rid of the shoulders and the groin and the neck. I got rid of those immediately and just kept the vest. Why? It was just too heavy. My mission was a lot different as a SWAT commander. Other people kept that on, but even like my team leader, my assistant team leader, removed those same items for flexibility and that type of stuff. I'm a ceramic kind of guy on top of that, but you got to be very careful with ceramic, because ceramic, you can't just throw your vest around. If you throw your vest, they can subsequently get little hairline fractures in the ceramic that will eventually could lead to failure if you are hit with the round. So that is one of the things there that can play a role. Now, deployables. Let's talk deployables. All right, so now let's talk flashbangs. All right, so on the issue of flashbangs, here's the thing. Back in the 90s, we used flashbangs like no tomorrow. I mean, we threw them as we were walking up to the house or the building. We threw them in the back for diversion. As we, breached the door, we threw them. And then eventually what happened is across the United States, there was story after story of people getting hurt. There's this one story, don't know if it's a wives' tale, but it's a SWAT wives' tale where a flashbang was thrown into a crib, blew up, and it injured an infant. Now, luckily, the infant didn't die, but still, though, significant injuries, never good. And it was at that point when I heard that story that we started to scale back flashbangs. And this came from the National Tactical Officers Association. It came from CATO, which is the California Association of Tactical Officers. These two main bodies had started to teach that we got to utilize flashbangs better. So where it went from every member in a stack had a flashbang, it's not that way anymore. Now, you can carry a flashbang. If you want to carry a flashbang on your vest, you're more than welcome to. But a lot of us got away from it, and the Grenadier ended up being the main flashbang person. Or if you were in the stack and your responsibility was to throw a flashbang, then you would go ahead and equip yourself with a flashbang. So be it. CS gas. Now let's talk about CS gas. You just don't randomly have CS gas on you. The commander and team leader discuss the merits of what the mission's going to be about, and at that point in time, we'll bring CS gas up. So we don't just carry CS gas on our vest. And once again, this is all based upon what I was used to. Okay, so there you go. Stinger. Now, here's the thing about Stinger. One of the things is that we in school, as well as when you return back to your host station, is you get flashbanged, you get CS gassed, and you get a Stinger grenade. They put you in a 4x4 room, and they deploy a flashbang, so you know what it does to you, how it feels, various different things. Okay, all that. So you could, and then you could testify to that as well. CS gas, same thing. They deploy CS gas. You have no gas mask initially, and you take it all in. Then you attempt to put your gas mask on. There's also drills where you start off with your mask. CS gas gets deployed. Take off your mask, take a deep breath, get that into you. Then you try to clear your mask like they teach you. I was never really good at it, but it does come in handy because I actually had a situation where I had to peel my mask off to check to see if somebody was breathing when I was an operator, and I was overcome with gas, and I had to get my mask back on, clear it, and then get out. And then Stinger. I'm not really impressed with Stinger because we would go in with a short sleeve t-shirt, you know, obviously our tactical pants, no vest, and they would deploy the stinger. It hurt, but not hurt to the point that I didn't want to fight anymore. So not a really big fan of stinger. It doesn't have, to me, it doesn't have that reaction that you're looking for to like, oh, you know, where you're getting hit and you don't want to play anymore. So, but for the purposes of this game, for me, I think you should just use flashbangs. Now, I've read some comments about CS gas overwhelming, especially in the 28 or 23 megabyte scenario. Yeah, so pick your poison. That's really going to be really up to you at that particular time. And then C2, we never use C2. I have been in training classes. I have been shown C2, depth cord, those various different things. Your large metropolitan teams, once again, LAPD, LA County Sheriff's Department, they use this type of tech. So there you go. Now, we're not going to talk ammunition yet. So on C2, you can see I'm at 0. So right here, if you look at my stuff, I got 3 flashbangs, 0 CS gas, 0 stinger, 0 CO2, or C2. Wedge, I take in 1 wedge because I'm allowed to take in 1 wedge. And if you watch my gameplay, a wedge only counts as 2 operators because, once again, there's no such thing as going in with 5 operators, okay? And unless it's some super small room or something to that effect. But we'd have a stack goes in. We're talking about at least 15 plus operators going in. And if you have to hold the door, 2 operators will hold that door, minimum obviously 1. So the wedge acts as 2 operators for me on a particular door. Pepper spray, I didn't carry pepper spray on my vest. Some officers did. Lockpicking doesn't exist. We had officers that went to lockpicking school. You just don't have a time. We would just go ahead and breach it with the RAM. That's why you have breachers on the team. They hang out in particular areas of the stick, and that's all just basically team dynamics on where you place them. But once again, no lockpicking. And taser, yes, operators carry taser. I did not carry a taser on me. I didn't have to. I was the commander. Now going to ammunition. Armor piercing, not really. We used full metal jacket. I just used armor piercing for gameplay, but we just used full metal jacket on both our long rifles and our sidearms. I just use AP here just for game purposes. And that's really it. Now, if we go back up, we already talked about the vest. Let's talk about our deployables. So let me go back up here. Actually, let's make this vest light so we can get more deployables. So you can see with flashbangs you can get more. Let's see here. I do, where is it at? No, that's not it. Weapons. Okay, I do apologize. I am looking for something particular. Oh, there it is. Okay, tactical gear. Breech shotgun. I'm going to do a video about the shield, but you don't carry a shield on your back like you see in the game. Okay, the shield weighs a lot. When we have a guy at the front door holding a shield, and we really got into using shields after an LAPD shooting in which 2 officers, unfortunately, one was killed. Simmons, he was killed, and the cannon handle, I believe, was hit in the jaw, but they weren't using shields. But after that, we became everyone started using shields. East Coast was really big into shields, but you just don't like, oh, here, let me get that. It's not that way. And plus, too, it's so heavy that some of our operators would just have to hold it like this. They literally were holding like this, and if they did hold it, you could, you're getting your gun out was very, very difficult. And there's a lot of different things that they'd have magazines inside there, so they can actually, if they went dry, they can load up that way. But we'll talk about shields later, but it doesn't happen. Battering ram. Having a battering ram on your back. No, not going to happen. You're going to be like, it just doesn't happen. The person carries it, holding it. There's no device where you just, let me get my ram off my back. Not going to happen, okay? Breaching shotgun, more realistic. You can have 1 or 2 people with a breaching shotgun, and that is really the way you're going to get. So you're going to get through a door either with a battering ram or a breaching shotgun. No lockpicking. Not to say that some teams don't use lockpicking, but you're just not going to do that. So yeah, it's not going to. That's well. First of all, let's go there. That's bogus. That doesn't exist. Okay. If it does, someone send me a real picture. But you're not carrying 40 to 50 pounds on your back like that. Same thing goes with the ram. I had to pick up a ram during the shooting and to get through the door because we did not want the hostage to get hit. And but it was by sheer adrenaline that I picked it up with one hand. It was normally picking it up with two hands, and you know, I'm not a weak person. Okay, so breaching shotgun. So these are your two primary ways. Now, you know, this flash, this gas, this stinger. There's a variation of it existing, and then you could obviously choose your grenades. We had a 40 millimeter. We used a foam grenade in it, but you could deploy gas. We had the capability of being able to do that. Our Grenadier did. But, yeah, you just didn't carry it with you at all times, okay? Once again, mission dependent. Now, let's talk about the mirror gun real quick. People say, well, why don't you use Opto-1, the mirror gun? It just doesn't exist for tactical teams. I'm sure there are teams that have some variation of it, but you just... Let me first tell you this. Walk around your house or your place of business and see how many areas where you could get a tube underneath a door. In commercial buildings, everything should be at code where everything is a nice tight seal, and that's a fire code, so that way fire doesn't spread. Now, yes, do gaps exist? Yes, they do, but there's supposed to be certain doors that are sealed tight to prevent fire spread. That's why doors are rated. That's why some doors, inside of a house, a bedroom door could be, a closet door, I should say, could be kicked in because it's not a fire rated door, as opposed to a main door to a bedroom might have an hour rating. There's doors that have 2-hour ratings, 3-hour ratings, and they become even thicker because of that rating. So in other words, that it'll take an hour for a fire to burn through that door. So that's what that's all about right there. And once again, gaps. Yes, gaps exist in houses, but there's a lot of gaps in commercial buildings, at least here in the United States. They do exist, though, don't get me wrong. But we've never had Opto-1. We've never used Opto-1. There are different devices that they make, and I've been to all the conventions, and I see them, but they're cumbersome. They take a lot of energy, a lot of battery. Where are you going to put the screen on your vest? I mean, they have little things that flip down, but yeah, I'm sure the tech's going to get better, and eventually we'll be there. But today with drones, we could deploy drones, all that type of stuff. But yes, eventually they will come. I'm sure some people are using them, but I have no experience with them, and I want to play this game realistically. So going with that real quick, I'm going to go back here at this point in time now. When I say I'm going to play the game realistically, it's not just the tactics that I'm saying, okay? So some people are very critical, like, oh, those are your SWAT tactics? Oh, thank God you're retired. Well, I'm not retired, first of all. But I'm talking about gear-wise as well. Talking about the type of gear that you take in. So we're taking in true tactical gear. We're not taking in weapons that we would not be utilizing. We're not taking in technically extra stuff that we would not have. So I'm taking in what would be a realistic loadout as well as realistic deployables. That's what I'm talking about as well. Obviously, you're going to be wearing a helmet, anti-flash goggles. We definitely have those. Ballistic mask, nope. I know that some teams do. I actually trained with some teams that had that. Our team didn't. Gas mask, yes, could be very typical. NVGs, ooh, they finally got them as I was leaving. I think they were like 40 to 60K. I guess I'd have to actually use them to have judgment on there, but the entire 26 years I was on the team, we never had MVGs and we were just fine. So, not to say that they're not useful, but that's a lot of money. And a lot of small teams, a lot of small city police departments don't have the budget to be able to buy those. So, anti-flash goggles. There you go. All right. We're going to take a few minutes to talk about our other operators, our team, and then, yeah, and there you go. And then that'll be this video. All right. With regard to my team, I decided that I was going to do the same thing that would be realistic on my team, as we pretty much would all be outfitted the same. So my guys are with the MCX, same setup. The USP, same setup. They're all with heavy armor, ceramic front and back. Armor piercing. Now as far as deployables, what I did here is we still have I believe here we're doing 2 flashbang, 1 stinger, and we're taking in 1 wedge, and then breaching shotgun and anti-flash goggles. So that's what we're going to do there. Now that's with Alpha team. Now with Bravo team, I decided same thing set up. Everything's still the same. However, we're going to do the battering ram and anti-flash goggles. And this is going to be the setup that I'm going to use for the next couple of missions. This may change depending on how the gameplay goes. All right. That's it. So let's finish this and talk about this. Okay. So you can disagree, agree with this loadout, but once again, when I say that I'm going to play this game with real SWAT tactics, it starts with the gear. What would a real SWAT operator be carrying? And this is pretty much it. Now, once again, I've trained with both LAPD and LA Sheriff's Department, and we're all very similar. Just a couple of differences, but everything is just about the same. The rifle may be a little bit different, the sidearm may be different, but beyond that, the magazines on the front, the gear on your vest, the stuff that you wear on your battle rig, though, your tourniquets, all those things are just about the same. And what's the best way I could describe it is the tactics are just about the same. Now there are some differences. LAPD does things differently than LASD. LASD does things differently from LAPD. But the best part about being a smaller team is you can take the good and bad from each one of those teams and make it yours. My team has trained with both LAPD and LASD, and there were some years that we did everything the way the Sheriff's Department did it, and there were years that we did everything the way the LAPD did it. And then now with going to national, the NTOA classes, you kind of incorporate what other people are doing across the United States. There you go. So we will play a couple of missions, not today, but that was just kind of like my loadout that I wanted everyone to see and kind of talk about, instead of talking about it in the game, talk about what is really going on there in regards to that. So if you have any questions, you have any comments, please share them and I'll try to answer them. Remember, I answer all new comments, unless you're just a troll, and then forget it. I'll just give you a period and move you on down the list. But I'm interested to see what you guys think. All right, there you go. Take care of yourself. Take care of one another. We can make the world a better place by just helping one person at a time. That could be with a simple smile or a nice comment. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, this is Chris the Copper, reminding all of you, peace out and Happy New Year.